Now I got good news and I got bad news. Want the good news or the bad news first?
Good.
All right, if I teach you a sales closing technique, you can tell me, Tim, go pound salt. I don't think it's a good idea. If I teach you a networking idea, you can say, Tim, that stinks. I heard it all before. But if I say to you, you got to work on your brand. You can't avoid it. And you say, get lost. I don't agree with you. You're wrong. Because everybody in this room has a brand. It's either positive, negative, or neutral. And if you don't decide for yourself, I'm going to decide for you. Okay? I'm going to decide for you. Now, pardon me? All right, here's what a brand is. It's a personal identity that stimulates a meaningful emotional response. It's all right, take your time. I mean, this is critical stuff. If you've got nothing else and you closed up, I mean, this is exactly what I want you to get. Everything else after is fluff. A meaningful emotional response that stimulates a meaningful emotional response in your target audience about the values or qualities for which you stand. What do I get when I get you? There's a fellow in the room here, Phil Glosserman. He's in my program. Super guy. If you have an opportunity to visit with him, you should visit him. By the way, if anybody here hasn't upgraded the VIP program, get with the program. Get with the program. You're going to be in that room with other people who can absolutely, what you hope is people like me, like Gary, like Jeff. You don't go to the NFL because it's luck. You go there because of sheer determination of knowledge. And what you want to do is you want these superstars to cut your learning curve in half in an instant. That's what you want them to do. So let's go back to what a personal brand is. What's the word or phrase you want people to think of when they think of you? And if you don't decide, they'll decide for you. Now here's another thing, keep in mind. There's something called a fundamental attribution error. And it's this. If I want to get to know Jeff, and I want to hang out with Jeff, right? There's no way I can know the full complexity of Jeff Hoffman. It's just impossible. There's no way I can know the full complexity of all of you in this room. So what I have to do is I have to size you up like that. I just have to. That's the way my brain works. That's the way your brain works. Okay? We size each other up. The problem is, if I'm not conscious of my behavior, I might engage in behavior that you observe and you size me up, then you define me as that. So for example, suppose this gal here who's interested in transforming children and women's lives. I think that's what we talked about. Suppose we saw her at a restaurant, and for some reason she was just having a bad day, and the government wasn't giving her the money that they needed to help some poor kid, and she snapped at the waitress. What's your response going to be about her? That's the only observation you have. The B word, right? But she's lovely, she's wonderful, she's beautiful, she's awesome. But see, we fundamentally attribute to that person, therefore they are that. So if you're not conscious of what you want people to decide, I'll decide it for you. Now there's a couple of other things. You might not like to hear it, but it's the truth. One of them I didn't like to hear. There's a book by Malcolm Gladwell called The Tipping Point. It's the precursor to Blink. You should get that book. It talks about how do you spread word of mouth. Okay? Now, in that book they did a study. And what they did was they had 100 parents, and they invited them to a high school for a specific purpose, a study. They put two kids in the schoolyard to play. One tall, one short. All right? And they're sitting there, and they're playing around, they're hanging out, and what they did was they brought the parents up, and they deliberately got them lost. And they wanted to get them lost in such a way that they'd have to go to ask the kids for directions. And they wanted to see what the reaction would be. 97 out of 100 of the parents asked the taller kid for directions over the shorter one. Because people think taller people are smarter than shorter people. Now we know that that's not true. Now, when Jeff said, it's so funny, he said, Tim played college basketball. When I come up, you guys are like, is that all of them? I got to tell you a funny thing. I was playing basketball in Lynchburg, Virginia. I'm standing on the foul line, and the place is dead silent, right? And I'm shooting a foul shot. I'm tiny, my pants, and some guy yells, hey, Shorty, did your mother make that uniform for you? It's just unbelievable. That guy defines my brand for me, okay? Based on a simple observation of me. So I ask you the question, what is it, the word or phrase you want people to think of? North Carolina State University did a study. And what they did was they decided they wanted to profile payment of people based upon their looks. And what they found was that people who are plain looking make on average 10% less than people who are above average looking. People who are very good looking make on average 19% more than people who are plain looking. Is it fair? No, it's not. It's really not. But it's fact. It's fact. And Gary talked about your appearance, and there's a lot of things you can do to enhance your appearance, and you can change your appearance. But there's a lot of people who are just lazy, and they won't do it. You see? So you have to start to decide for yourself now. For example, we think of Laura Bush. When we think of Laura Bush, what do we think of? She's a what? Classy lady. Right? We think of Tom Hanks. He's what? Everyman, the nicest guy in the world. We think of Brett Favre. What do we think of? Brett Favre, the quarterback. Tough. Right? Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. They're publicists. The people who are working with them pick that, and they select that, and they promote it. So when Brett Favre's father passes away, all of the stories leading up to the game are about his dad passing and how tough he is mentally. And he goes out and he passes for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns to just accentuate his toughness. You see, oftentimes, how good you are is irrelevant. It's how popular you are. It's a popularity contest. And as frustrating as that is, it's the truth. Listen, gang, let me tell you right now. You're climbing up the ladder. Do you really think the people at UBS PaineWebber are better than the people at Merrill Lynch? I know at those places they're saying yes. I mean, do you really think the lawyers at Latham and Watkins are better than the lawyers at Cravath, Swaine and Moore? No, they're not. It's a tie. It's a tie. A dead heat. All that's left is the personal brand. The idea is that's the great separator, your ability to carve out your personal brand and enhance your likability. Now, you can't just declare, I want to have a great brand, and this is my brand, and that's it. Now let's get to work. Okay? You can't do it. You can't do it. You got to first choose the brand that's authentic. You got to choose a brand that's the real reflection of the real you. Because it's not something Monday to Friday. Saturday and Sunday, I'm the same as I am today. I mean, I don't wear a suit on Saturday and Sunday most of the time. Although some guy said to me, I expected to see you at the gym with one of those tuxedo shirts on. You know? You see, I was at the office one day, and as I'm standing in the office, it was President's Day weekend, and some lawyer who's in the office comes and says, man, it's President's Day weekend. I mean, you're dressed. I said, Shaq doesn't wear his practice uniform to the games. Right? Because, see, what I do is I exhaust them with my consistency. Over and over and over again. I exhaust them with my consistency. There's a great quote by Muhammad Ali. The fight is won or lost behind the lines, in the gym, way out there on the road, long before you get to dance under the lights. You see, a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people want to be successful, but they're not willing to do the work. You know, Mother Teresa, I think about her. I mean, digress a little bit. Mother Teresa, I think about her, right? Here's a woman, never had a cell phone, never had a fax, never had a pager, never had an office, but she changed the face of the world. How? Because she executed the simple flawlessly over and over and over again. She said to her girls when they left and went outside, she said, girls, when you pick up that baby, what I want you to do is I want you to hold that baby so it knows love before it dies. Remember, little deeds with great love, not great deeds with little love. I'll tell you, here's the key. Simple, good, complex brand when you get to define your brand. If you don't think so, listen to this. 3 primary colors. Look at what Michelangelo did with them. There's only 7 notes, but yet we listen to Beethoven hundreds of years later. The world is free today because of what Einstein could do with just 10 digits. John 3:16, there's 26 words, 21, single syllable. The Gettysburg Address, 242 words, 202, single syllable. Simple, good, complex, bad. Now, shouldn't there be a shorter word for single syllable than monosyllabic? But gang, you guys are smart, because most of you are like, right? Okay? So choose a brand that simply defines you. Not everybody can be Tom Cruise. Not everybody can be Sharon Stone. But there's a lot of people who are real successful playing the character roles. So what your objective is to think. Ask people, what do you think about me when you think about me? What is the one thing that you think defines who I am? Decide what it is. And you don't have to be like the only person in the world that invented electricity. It doesn't have to be like that. It can just be expert. Okay? It can just be like honest. But see, what you do then is you're going to promote that to build powerful brand equity. Powerful brand equity. That's what you're going to do. You're going to build powerful brand equity, which is people's emotional connection with you, where they can't get enough of you. So choose the word or phrase yourself now.